Talking about a little bit about this iconic character that you're feeling the role now. What's your take on the Dr. Smith? Is he like a villain? Is she now?
Yeah, it's ambiguous,
Yeah.
I think Jonathan Harris was so inventive, and we never. I mean, I was obsessed with him as a child, like
Right.
5, 6 years old. I was like, he is so. Who is that? I've never seen anyone like that person, and I just felt, I just adored him.
Right.
Like I think a lot of my generation, maybe in it was the first like sci-fi show, I think, to even, and the sets and the green, and Bill Mummy was green and the alien woman was green, and I remember didn't it go from black and white to color as well?
Yeah.
And I just got the trilogy sets of, there's a 3-volume set with the DVDs coming out. And it is so fun and charming to read about Irwin Allen and his like madness and creativity at this time in the 60s. And it goes through everyone's kind of plight of, their beginnings. And, like June Lockhart wanted, before she got this job, was like, why aren't there female news correspondents? I'm really into politics and I'd like to be a newscaster. How cool is that? And she wanted to drive herself to work, so she joined the Teamsters. And like she was really, cool. I haven't gotten to Jonathan Harris yet. I'm only like this much through like the first volume. And I didn't bring it to Kamloops, so I have a lot of work, that I'm doing here. But I love this. It's a mix. It's a real mix, which you can do now, I think.
Right.
Be layered and ambiguous as to. He was also very theatrical,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of that. But I've really enjoyed, kind of an homage to another character who I thought was, in playing that and creating this role where I think he was very funny. He was like a queen. He was very imperious. But they're grounding it with this. There's with this Smith being like a con artist, and in the original he was a spy. So I can't. I find myself pretending to know what's going on a spacecraft and being able to kind of, I don't really. That really wasn't my strong suit in my training that I did. I didn't really pay enough attention. Will, could you explain the wires to me a little bit? It's like that kind of thing. And the idea too of having to leave, a planet that is only habitable to the very wealthy. To escape, and where does this drive and this will to live and survive, and like a horror film when people stay in the house when they could just like get in their car and like hide, you know what I mean? Like my imagination goes to this place, like let's play with this, like in a real way.
Right.
So there's lots of passion and I think energy in being on the run, trying to survive, being on a spacecraft that could crash, and with these great actors. So it's it's playful and I think scary and action oriented and real, because I think we all want to have it be like grounded.
So is there a class element to the show then?
Yeah.
Like people that are on the Jupiters going to Alpha Centauri, is that like the elite?
Yeah.
By Earth.
And so, exactly. So, Smith doesn't come from that. So that's been interesting for me to, think about, like, as someone who you don't know whether or not you believe what she says, if she's had to make up her reality and her story in order to get by. Is she a criminal, or is it post-traumatic stress disorder? Is she a psychopath, or is she just having a very real experience about having to leave the planet and to really survive and to have a family within the Robinson family? I mean, who wouldn't want to be with them? They're perfect. So there's that, which is really, it's fun.
Why Smith is a woman in this version of the show? Did they explain it to you?
Yeah, they didn't want any comparisons with Jonathan Harris, who originated it. They didn't want the part to be, imitated, but also the guys, the creators, very much love strong women. They love that. Like one of the writers, Matt, was talking about Molly and I just thought it would be, just like wanting to turn her into an action hero, like this great, classy actress, into like, to really do it and really believe it. And so like when we're on the spacecraft and she's like doing all the navigation and all the talking, which is very complicated, and, all these big words, and she sounds and looks like she knows exactly what she's talking about. And you got to be smart to make that, you have to be really good at what you do to make that believable. And you have to be intelligent. So it's just really a great heroine and a great mother and wife role. And I think there's something to, it's diverse. We have a huge cast from all over the world. Shooting on scenes on another planet, these great sets. Like, I loved the sets, as when I was a fan of like the visual planet, right? Of how things looked, and the glitter on the face, and the all that. So it's really fun to act in, and you do feel like even when we all got on the spaceship, everyone just started like blah blah, like doing like acting. You kind of turn into 11 and 12-year-old, and then we're also acting with Max, who's just turned 12. And that's really fun to do too. It's like family TV, like what kids think is funny, and what grown-ups who, think is funny as well, and how kids, just their sense of humor is so different. And it's really fun to play with that.
Is Smith a con woman through and through, or does she have some sort of redemption arc through this series?
Yeah, it's I think she's redeeming herself a lot. It's ambiguous and open, it's kind of constant. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure there will be, some redemption, even more redemption. Yeah, it's not just one thing, it's not stereotypical, which I like.
And what are her relationships like with the different members of the family? Does she get on with the kids? Does she get on
I
with
feel
the
like what
parents?
I'm doing is like taking on each person that I'm with and acting like they do, or like their shadow side, or there's like a victim of the crash. I pretend to be. I can say all this, right? I can. I pretend to be a therapist, and that's like and that's how I help people who need to talk about their feelings. We're going through all this stuff, but in turn, it's like I think. So she can take on like the pain of a situation, make it her own, and then try to fix herself. But consequently, she ends up kind of messing with the mind of the person that she's in therapy with. So it's much like that's something that wasn't on the page, but it was something that is kind of I've been playing with in the performance of trying to make it as real and empathetic as possible.
So she kind of turns into who people need her to be.
Yeah,
when she's in different situations.
Like a therapist. Therapists do that too.
Yeah.
So there's it's transference. So it's kind of it's really fun to play that. And she's very manipulative, which is always fun.
Do we get to find anything about who she really is underneath all of these layers of con artist?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I don't even know. Yeah, who she really is. Like, she's a shapeshifter. She's like a mythological. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a mercurial Puck, kind of character you can't quite hold on to. She doesn't really hold on to herself, just these like different roles and how she's a trickster, how she can, find her way out and find her way in. She gets herself in trouble, but she also turns something into gold, It's like at the end through being this like, following her nature to kind of get into trouble. She, good things are formed out of it.
But that's the main thing for a survivor, right?
What'd you say?
That's the main thing for a survivor, to shape shift in whatever she needs to be to survive.
That's right. And that's a really big theme in this is like that is survival.